What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of FittDesign TV. So glad to have you back on the channel. On today's episode, we'll be looking at how to build a brand in the context of sportswear, activewear, and fashion design. This is an often overlooked topic because it can be quite vague at times. What does it mean to build a brand? How does one go about doing that? That's exactly what we're going to be discussing in today's video. We'll basically be taking you through techniques, both external and internal, to build a brand that gets people emotionally connected and ultimately a brand that's going to lead to longevity and higher revenues in the long term. Hey guys, and welcome to FittDesign TV. So glad to have you here. On this channel, we discuss all things sports fashion, graphic design, manufacturing, and technology. We'll discuss key topics, answer pressing questions, and provide actionable steps on starting your own product line. If you're interested in any of the above topics, stick around. You're in for a good one. Building a brand can be quite a vague and tough concept to grasp, specifically when it comes to sportswear and fashion design. Because what does it mean to truly build a brand? It's quite an abstract idea, and that gets a lot of people tripped up. Well, you don't have to worry about it too much. It's a lot simpler than it sounds. Building a brand has a lot to do with the way that you present yourself to the world. In this video, we'll be going through both the external and internal ways that you can present and communicate to customers to ultimately bring in more revenue to your business and to build a longevity that's fueled by standing out from the crowd. We'll start off with the external ways that you can curate the way that people view your brand. Number one is your visual identity. You need to create a remarkable experience for your customers and one that's going to sway their decision to come with your brand. That is in terms of creating bold designs that are going to help you stand out from the crowd. Why would someone pick your brand when you look like brand XYZ? You need to be able to give people a way to differentiate what you're offering and ultimately to sway their decision your way. At the same time, you need to be able to maintain a consistency in your branding elements. Your branding elements are things like your logo, your typography, your word mark, the colors, the uniforms, the geometries, the shapes used. Chances are, if you're not maintaining a consistency in your brand, how can you expect people to perceive your brand the way that you want them to perceive it? It just goes to show that if you yourself can't maintain consistency, that chances are you don't really understand what the brand image that you're putting out into the world. Maintaining a consistency in a specific aesthetic across a brand is a great way to build up the trust and to build out that image that you have of yourself and to embed it within the minds of people. Number two is that it's extremely important to consider your tone of voice. This is an often overlooked tactic, but when it comes to creating an emotional connection with your customers, choosing the right tone of voice is going to set the stage for you. People may not remember the physical experience of purchasing from your website or your store, but they'll remember the way that you made them feel. And that has a lot to do with the tone of voice that you've selected. At the same time, it's important to maintain a consistency across the tones of the voices that you're using. So whether it's the way that you present yourself on your social feeds, on your website, or on your advertising campaigns, maintaining a consistent tone of voice is going to create the right emotional connection that you want people to have when trying to get them to remember your brand. Now that we've discussed the external ways that you can curate a brand image, we'll also look at the many internal ways that you can go about it as well. And number one in this category is to build up a strong brand story. And that can be as simple as communicating real stories from real people. When it comes to a fashion brand, that can be the history and the background of the founder. Being able to share a human story will allow people to buy in and to connect with the brand. It creates a sense of authenticity and will help build a loyal customer base long term. At the same time, you may be wanting to communicate the message or the reason of being for your brand. What's your mission and how do you plan to achieve it? That'll also help you stay accountable, and at the same time, it'll help people to buy into the brand if they want to support you. Though this may not be in sales at the beginning, it will help build a loyal customer base long term. You'll also want to consider your brand values. You want to make sure you have a clear and consistent direction with these brand values. Clear and specific core values for a company will allow you to stick to them and develop your brand in the right direction. At the same time, it'll help your customers build a clear image for how they're perceiving your brand. You'll also want to look at constant review. Though it's important to maintain consistency, you should always revisit these core values. In fashion, times are always changing, and making sure that you update your brand's core values to stay relevant to your specific market is key in maintaining a fresh and modern identity. One of the strongest ways that you can differentiate your brand from what's out there is to identify your unique selling point, otherwise called as a USP. Your unique selling point will allow you to differentiate yourself. So know what makes you different from your competitors. Know what's going to bring your customers through the door, and it's going to maintain that loyalty long term. Are you known for a specific type of after-sales service? Are you known for a specific type of fabric? Are you known for a specific type of design for a niche in your specific industry? Make sure that you know what makes you special and identify that and stick to that. Stick to your strengths. At the same time, you want to keep yourself on track. If you've clearly identified your USP, this can definitely help you in terms of determining what products and services you want to focus on long term. With a limited number of resources, making sure that every single effort you make is going to push you closer and closer to solidifying that USP and developing it long term is going to help you stand out from the crowd and build an extremely loyal and consistent customer base. It's extremely important to have a brand point of view. You should have a voice and be able to use your platform to voice things that are important to your company. Doing this will allow you to seem a lot more relatable and approachable. It'll also break down that extremely professional and static feel that most brands can have. At the same time, you want to make sure that you share an attitude or a point of view that doesn't necessarily fall within your realm or your industry. Being able to speak about things that are important to your brand will give depth and will make you seem a lot more approachable and give a human touch and feel to your products long term. At the same time, it's important to have a clear standpoint. Make sure that you deliver your messages and your points in a way that are consistent with your brand values, and that any spokespeople or people associated with your brand align their messaging in a way that is congruent with yours. You'll also carefully want to consider your brand positioning. Start off by plotting a perceptual map with two axes. On one axis, the x-axis, you have your low quality to high quality. And then on the y-axis, you have a high price to a low price. Your brand positioning is going to have an impact on the way that people perceive your brand, especially in relationship to your customers. Also, consider your competitors. How do your customers perceive them? Plot your different competitors as well as yourself on this perceptual map. Consider yourself. Are you a high quality brand with a low price, so you push value? Or are you a high quality brand with a high price? You're pushing luxury and exclusivity. Or are you a low quality brand with a low price where you're solely fixated on getting as many customers through the door and going for mass? These are important questions to consider because they have a lot of impact on the way that you stock your product. So are you mass market and you're just flooding the market with different products? Or are you exclusive and you're making sure to maintain a sense of scarcity for your products? At the same time, you want to look at the way that your marketing decisions are influenced by your brand positioning. If you're a luxury brand, you shouldn't be portraying yourself as a run-of-the-mill, everyday, approachable brand. It has a lot to do with the way that you want people to see yourself and the way that you price yourself on the market. Last but not least, you have to carefully consider your target customer. Being able to identify who you want to sell to is the foundation of your business. It's one of the most important things that you consider at the beginning of your journey, and making sure that you know who you're selling to can be a key way to target your customer or to create product that is irresistible to this specific demographic. You need to study your customers. So study things like their lifestyles, their spending habits, their schedules, where they live, how much they earn. At the same time, what are their likes and dislikes? Having a clear understanding of these different key factors is going to be integral in terms of allowing you and facilitating your team to create products that are irresistible, that are going to sell out time and time again. Hopefully in this stage of the video, you guys have a better grasp on what it takes to create a strong brand and identity long term. We've already identified different methods, both external and internal, that you can employ and consider to create a brand that is both recognizable and memorable to your customer base, and build a loyal customer base that's going to want to buy into the different products that you launch time and time again. If you don't have a strong customer base, you don't have a business. Being able to maintain a strong identity shows a confidence and a consistency that will reflect in terms of how people approach and identify with your brand. If If you guys enjoyed this type of video, please let us know in the comments below if you want to see more fashion business types of videos again in the future. We absolutely love creating this content for you guys, and it's always a pleasure to hear from everyone. Thank you guys so much for tuning into FittDesign TV. Until next time, stay awesome.